Sinulog is a fiesta celebrating the Santo Niño of Cebu. People come to the city to pray, light candles, and dance to honor and ask favors from the baby Jesus. Long time ago, Cebu was populated by pagans, people who didn't believe in one God. But they believed in many things from whom they asked favors, to heal the sick, for rain, to have good harvest, and so on. One day, visitors, mostly from Spain, came, baptized, and gave them Christian names, and introduced them to the Señor Santo Niño. They possibly loved the baby Jesus so much that Juana, the wife of Cebu's chief, asked the visitors if they could keep the image. But that's all we know, because shortly after, the visitors got killed in Mactan. The survivors and their scribe sailed away. After 44 years, the Spaniards came back. They decided to stay for 300 years and built churches alongside military outposts and civil government houses. And they converted the pagans into Catholics. Since then, the Santo Niño became popular with all the tales of the baby Jesus' miracles to heal the sick and heed the prayers of believers. Today, believers and tourists alike come to celebrate and honor the Santo Niño with prayers and dances we now know as Sinulog. The Sinulog, as a big festival in Cebu, only began in the 1980s, but the practice of Sinulog dance prayer had been performed earlier than that.
Viva Señor Santo
According to national artist and historian Resil Mojaras, the Sinulog word as a dance in Cebu appeared in the contemporary Cebuano dictionary only in the last century. A 17th century Cebuano dictionary referred to Sinulog's root word sulug to mean water current or the island of Sulu. It also defines Sinulog as a Tausug woman's dress. The Tausug are the native people of Sulu.
If any Tausug can hear the word Sinulog, they can easily relate to it because it sounds very familiar to their everyday usage of the word. We have a Tausug word Sulug, which means current. We have a word, for example, Siulug, which means to wear.
Professor Darwin Absari of the University of the Philippines Institute of Islamic Studies writes about the history of Sulu. He speaks from the old trading landmark, the Chinese pier in Holo, Sulu.
From 1200 to 1450, Sulu became the economic zone in the international sea trade. Products coming from outside, Champa, Java, before it will be brought to other parts of the country, it will first arrive here in this place.
The influence of Sulu in the Visayas ran through the trading routes and principalities the Sultanate established in the western islands of the Philippines. The spread of cultures and practices accompanied the trade linkages across settlements in the Old World. Cebuano anthropologist and social historian Professor Jose Eleazar Bersales examined the writings of Antonio Pigafetta. Pigafetta accompanied Ferdinand Magellan, who represented Spain in talks with Cebu chief Raja Humabon in the 1500s.
Humabon had an advisor who was a Muslim. He is mentioned in Pigafetta. It is clear in Pigafetta that Enrique de Malacca talked with a Mohammedan. He's described as Mohammedan, who was in the court of Humabon.
The presence of a Muslim holding a high position in the court of Humabon validates the map showing Panay Island as a principality of the Sultanate of Sulu. The 1500s map indicates that Cebu belonged to the region under the influence of the Sultanate. The strength of the Sulu influence in the Visayas was further confirmed when the word Sinulog found its way in the 1890s accounts of Felix Laureano. Laureano cites Sinulog as the name of a fiesta dance in Panay Island depicting a battle between the Moro and the Christian.
And there he says that Sinulog is a very ancient form of competition or of jousting that comes from the Holoanos. And he says, but he saw this in Haro, Iloilo, being performed during a town fiesta.
Jolo is the capital of the Sulu Sultanate.
So therefore, you have a contextual source which is further than the one we see today, the Sinulog, which as a festival, which began in the 1980s.
Professor Absari confirms that fighting tournaments, horse racing, and other entertainment performed in front of the Sultan were a common practice in Sulu.
This art of defense is part of the culture simply because their homeland was under siege by various foreign powers. So showing it as an entertainment is one way of teaching the younger generations and the society in general the need to know this knowledge, the need to develop this knowledge as a way of defense in their homeland.
Sulu had been a melting pot of diverse cultures from the Hindu, Malay or Srivijaya, and the Chinese civilizations. While pagan culture of much of the Philippines was suppressed by the Spanish occupation, Sulu kept the various influences in their culture, as shown in their dances. Some of the movements remain identical to the physical and spiritual practices in ancient India. The Chinese martial arts influence remains obvious in other dances. The Sulu martial arts dance, that sometimes uses bladed weapons, has a different narrative from that of Panay. The Moro versus Christian narrative, according to a study by Sally Ness, was introduced by the Augustinians, the first Catholic religious order that arrived in the Philippines.
So you have a combination of a Holoano origin and a Christian origin.
But why is it that other Sulu dances did not evolve in the Christian lands occupied by Spain?
Because you have to realize that the islands were not separated until the Spaniards came. Christianity put a damper on the trading relations all over the islands.
And along with it came the barriers that greatly suppressed cultural influences that moved through these pre-colonial trade routes. The survival of the battle dance sequence in Laureano's account can be explained by its local popularity.
They must have seen the Moro Moro, the original Sulu dance performed in one of the fiestas, and it's easy to say, let's use the other one as a Christian, and he wins always.
The Moro versus Christian narrative used by the Spaniards was very relevant at that time, as Spain struggled but failed to convert Muslim Sulu to Christianity.
The whole Comedia series in the Spanish literature is like that, no? Christians defeating Muslims, because southern Spain was occupied by the Moors, by the Moros, for a long time. And they had that mentality when they came here. And then you have the evolution of the Sinulog as a Christian tradition. No longer the Sulu war dance that it originally started from. And so today, it has barely any resemblance to the actual war dance. If you look at the Sinulog category, it's really a modern version.
There are various theories on how the Sinulog evolved over the centuries. But from what we have seen in the studies we came across, we can say that Sinulog's evolution at a certain point in history was influenced by the culture of Sulu.
My name is Engineer Absar Esgapor, instructor in Sulu State College. At the same time, I am coach in Pincak Silat, also in Puntao. Hindi na. Dahil sa sayaw and then spiritual and then paniniwala sa Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Walang dolin. Amin. Sabi ng mga ninuno namin, Ang lakas ng oil, malakas kaysa suntok. Pag hindi ka na matatamaan ng oil, ang suntok parang walan.